Hey, this is Alex Vitkin from businessmentor.com. In this video, I want to share with you the 6 lessons that I've learned from watching the Undercover Billionaire, which is a show about billionaires starting a business from scratch without using their network, without using their wealth, and only using their skills. They can't even use their name. They have to pretend they're a nobody, and they have to start a business from scratch in a small town. So what can we learn from the things that they do in the show that can be applied to an online business, especially if you're a freelance web developer, and especially if you want to start an online agency? What I've noticed is, since I work with over 200 business owners that are running an agency right now, is that a lot of the problems that the billionaires face in the show are directly transferable to what you are probably doing and what all the people that I'm working with are doing. So a lot of the struggles that the billionaires face, they're very, very similar to beginners in business that are just starting out. It is extremely similar. And as such, we can learn a lot from watching someone who's a billionaire with 20, 30 years of business experience solve the same problems. So the first principle that I've learned from Undercover Billionaires is to build strategic partnerships. What I've noticed is every single one of them, when they enter a new city where they know no one, they try to find the most successful entrepreneur in the city, and they try to align themselves with the successful entrepreneur. They go around and they make connections. They build a network immediately upon arrival. They don't even have money yet. They have like $100 in their bank account. And yet they go around and they try to meet the most successful business owners and local leaders that they can get their hands on. And then they align themselves with the successful business owners so that they're not really starting from scratch anymore. Because if you think about it, you could either start from scratch with no credibility, you're a nobody, no one knows you, no referrals, or you can go for the number one player in your area, in your industry, and you can align yourself with them. And I don't mean necessarily that they work for them forever for free. What I do mean is they usually provide a service that's for free or almost for free, just to prove that they're a valuable asset, that they're a valuable person to know and to build their network. Successful people understand that if you want to provide value to other successful people, and if you want to build a network like that, then what happens is it is often reciprocated. A successful business owner wants to align themselves with startups, with young guys, young girls, or people that are just starting out. They don't really know what they're doing yet, because they have the right energy, they have the right attitude, they can provide value, they can provide solutions that the successful existing established business owner does not have yet. As such, the billionaires that are pretending that they're just starting out, that's exactly what they do. They offer free services to established business owners just to get their foot in the door. Now, once they have done that, and once the service is successful, then they sell a service to the same person, and then they leverage that portfolio item and their connection to the number one business owner in the city to get new business. Also, they leverage the network to discover new business opportunities, because if you're brand new in a town, you don't really know, if you're running an offline business, what are you going to do there? Like, who are you going to go to? How much value can you get out of real estate investing or selling services or whatever? You don't really know that until you know successful business owners in that city. And that is exactly what Undercover Billionaires are doing. So how can you apply this in your business if you're a brand new freelancer or agency owner? Well, you can go out and you can figure out who is the number one client that you eventually want to get. Who is the number one person in your niche, in the audience, in the type of businesses that you're targeting, that you want to do business with, that you want to align yourself with. And offer services for them in a way where they get value, even though you don't get paid that much. The reason for this is once you get that portfolio item, once you align yourself, it's going to be much easier to get everyone else, because once you've worked with the top people, it's easier to work with everyone below that. Now, perhaps you won't be able to get the top person in the industry if it's like a huge industry like e-commerce in the first day, but you can still go as high as possible, as early as possible, to circumvent a lot of the pain that business owners face and to be able to enter at a higher point once you complete the first project. This is totally viable. You can also partner up for referrals. You can partner up in all kinds of affiliate deals with these business owners, because they're interested in profit. They're interested in working with you if you can deliver profit to them. The second principle that I've learned from Undercover Billionaires is billionaires are always on a talent hunt. They're not just talking to people and not just networking and not just getting clients. What they are actually doing is they're looking for their next team, because once they do have a product and a market and they want to build something, they want to build their first business, what they do is they're going out and they're checking their Rolodex. They're checking, who have I met who can help me with this? They're looking for people. They're not necessarily just looking for solutions, strategies, and tactics, because honestly, they already have a lot of that. And for you, you can solve that with an existing working business model by working with someone like me. But basically, they go out and they look for people that are going to help them, that are going to be part of their team, that are going to help them with execution. Because you can only do so much as one person. If you want $1 million business within 90 days, you're going to have a team. If you don't have that, it's going to be extremely challenging, as some of the billionaires discovered. So all of them end up building a team eventually, and they're scouting the whole time. So they're looking, who can I hire? Who can I work with? They're not going to be able to do all the work themselves, and they're constantly scouting for talent to determine who is going to be a key player, who's going to be my right-hand man or woman when I build that business. And once they de-established, once the strategic partnership works, and once the business starts or grows, they immediately put a team in place. Sometimes the team works for free because you just say you invest sweat equity and eventually you're going to get a reward for that. Sometimes the team gets paid from day one, where the business partner, the strategic partner, pays for the salaries. And other times, they make other special deals. But essentially, they're looking for staff, they're looking for strategic partnerships. And you can do the same thing, by the way. You can hire interns as an agency. You can hire people that are just starting out to help you out with menial tasks. And there's also people who don't just start out, who are just looking for new opportunities. And if you can convince them that you're going to the moon with your business and you're really going to grow, you're very serious, and they can be part of it from the ground up, which entails large rewards later on. If you can establish that, you can work also with very well-established freelancers and staff members from day one without having to pay them premium dollar. I actually have some students who do this. They hire people at a fraction of what they usually charge, but in return, they get a lot of bonuses like equity later on and so on. The next principle that I've learned from Undercover Billionaire is to always have a plan B, C, and D. Now, here's the thing about this. It is a little bit of a tricky matter. If you have too many plan Bs, it's easy to fail at plan A because you're like, oh, I have plan B, it's not a big deal. But that's not how they approach it. They look at plan B, C, and D as backup plans alongside implementing plan A to the fullest extent until it fails. And if it, in fact, it does fail after them trying really, really hard, only then do they work on plan B seriously. Before that, plan B is on the back burner, but it is ready to go. It will work eventually if plan A fails. Now, how can you do this as an agency owner? Honestly, as a beginner, when you're just starting out, I would be very careful with this, and I would not look at jobs as plan B. I would look at your main business as plan A and maybe different niches or different target groups for your service as plan B. I wouldn't go around looking at multiple business models as a beginner because the billionaires, they already have business experience. They can do that kind of stuff. But for you, probably you just want to focus on a single business model and not split your attention because it will hurt you in the end. I've made this mistake myself. You want to focus on a single business model and really hash it out, make it work no matter what. And perhaps do small pivots, meaning change who you target, who you talk to, and perhaps a little bit what you offer as well to some extent. But if you're going to build an agency, right? You can see other agencies succeed around you. It's a matter of finding the right lead generation, sales process, delivery process, and so on. By the way, if you're interested in getting mentored in this, go to businessmentor.com. That's the website that I run. Essentially, we help business owners and agencies get started with, successful business owners, mentoring them. So the next principle of Undercover Billionaire is network everywhere. What I've noticed that they do is they network constantly. If they take a taxi, they network. If they go to a hairdresser, they network. They always tell people what they're doing and they ask people for help. They say, do you know any investors? Do you know anyone who's investing in real estate? Do you have any friends that have money to invest in real estate? Do you have money yourself that you want to invest in a new business? Do you know anyone who runs this type of business that can help me? Right? That's what they do constantly everywhere that they go. And you'd be surprised who they can get their hands on in terms of referrals, in terms of who they can be introduced to. Because anyone you meet, like a taxi driver, hairdresser, or anyone else in a restaurant, let's say, or randomly on the street, they could be running a business. They could have friends, family that are well established that run businesses. So it can be very valuable to network. Now, they're doing it in a small town, which is very difficult. There's a limited population, obviously, and limited opportunities. But if you do this in a big city, the opportunities are literally endless. For example, when I used to live in Las Vegas, let's never talk about that ever again, by the way. What I ended up doing is I was talking to people anytime I went to a restaurant, and you'd be surprised what type of business owners, even like in a cheap small restaurant, you'd be surprised what type of business owners you can meet just by looking around and talking to random strangers. And this is what Undercover Billionaires are also doing. They're talking to strangers, they're being introduced, they're constantly networking and providing value to anyone of value that they meet or they can get their hands on. How can you apply this as a freelancer or new agency owner? Well, anytime you get a lead that's not qualified, are you asking them for referrals? Anytime you get a lead that is qualified, that you deliver a service to, are you asking them to record proof of your delivery that you have a portfolio item? And are you asking them to refer you to other people such as themselves who also need the service? Because that's the way to do it. Like, that is the most simple way of networking. It's one of the most simple ways of getting sales once you have your first few clients. Now, you can do this everywhere. Like, I would tell your entire family, all your friends, anyone you know, anyone who will listen to you, even as I said, taxi drivers, what you're doing and who you're looking for. You would be surprised what kind of opportunities can arise out of spreading the word and being excited about your own business. People will really try to help you because it's really not a big deal for them. And what they get out of it is contributing to someone who's ambitious, who's energetic, who's happy with what they're doing and on their path. And everyone will want to align themselves with you if you're on your path. So the next principle of Undercover Billionaire is urgency. What I see so many beginner entrepreneurs and freelancers and web developers do is they don't have any urgency. They try business models for years and they fail. They don't really make any money. They're just like slowly hacking away at it, just trying to make it work over time. But it's not really the hustle that's required to start a business. When you look at the billionaires that are trying to build $1 million valuation in 90 days, what they're doing is they're outworking everyone. They're talking to everyone constantly. They're hyper-focused on their goal. Even though they have this huge business that they're probably running in the background on phone calls in the evening, they're still hustling. They're still focused. They're ultra determined to test out ideas and make them work as soon as possible. There's no time wasting. There's no days being spent without testing an idea or working towards their goal. And a lot of beginner entrepreneurs, they get distracted by things all the time. Sometimes it's valid, like a family member who's in the hospital. I get it. But at the same time, you can always find time. You can always schedule things in. You can always realign your focus to make sure you're focused primarily on business. Even if some of the days you're stuck with emergencies, it is okay. You can schedule things in. You can still wake up early, go to bed late. Get your 8 hours of sleep, by the way. I'm not against sleep, but still wake up early, go to bed late, and get your hours of sleep. And at the same time, work on your business as your primary focus. This is what it takes to succeed. Time is limited. It's the number one asset, and billionaires understand that more than anyone. Time will get you results if you keep trying. Whereas trying just a little bit slowly over time will never get you the momentum that you need to truly succeed in business. And this focus, single-minded focus on a business model, working on your business, is what it takes to succeed. Billionaires understand this, and so should you. If they're doing it, why aren't most people? I find this really crazy. So what I want you to do next is I want you to hit the subscribe button if you find this content valuable, and also the bell notification icon to get future videos such as this in your inbox. Furthermore, I have a playlist in the description that goes into detail on how to get started as a freelance web developer and how to get leads, how to do all the things that you need to do to get started and to have hyper focus on something that already works. These are working processes. Click in the description, click the playlist, and watch the videos on how to get started for yourself on something that works for many people.